Oh, yes, sure. Can. 没有问题。I'll just down here a little bit 就可以了。Yeah, lah. Yeah. 要鼓励的，要鼓励的。Okay. Yes, sure. Can. Wonderful. Okay, good afternoon. We are now about 11:50. We are starting earlier. All right. And we want to look at the Bible. I was asking for, never mind. Yeah, the Bible. Very good. Yeah. Go to Ecclesiastes chapter 2, because we have done chapter 1 already. We go to chapter 2. Yes. And we put it up quite big. Yes, correct. Chung. Correct. Good. Okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1. I said to myself, come now, I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good. But that also proved to be meaningless. Verse 2. Never mind, I'll wait. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yeah, can. Quite big. Okay, so verse 2, laughter, here I said, is foolish. And what does pleasure accomplish? Right? I tried cheering myself with wine, embracing folly, my mind still guiding me with wisdom. I, under heaven, during the few days of their lives, I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs for water grooves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owe many herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. Okay, so here we can see a very clear understanding of the work that he is able to do. All right? So if you go back to verse 1 up there, come now, he says, I will. Yeah, chapter 2, verse 1. I taught my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure and to find out what is good. So interesting, right? He wants to find what is pleasure. Pleasure that he can feel, pleasure that brings a kind of joy, a kind of up in him, and he wants to play around with it. All right. Verse 2 says, laughter said, I said, is foolish, and what does pleasure accomplish? So, and a test of two paradigms. He wants to know, and yet he wants to accomplish. All right. I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly, my mind still guiding me with wisdom. He knew that his mind can lose control. He can lose control of his pleasure. So here is a very interesting and yet very uncontrollable things in his life. Now you and I, when we talk about life, we need to talk about an understanding of control. All right? What do you think? Pleasure. Do you think you can control it? Sometimes you can control, right? Yeah. Yes. And when you can control, amen. Number two, when you cannot control, what will happen? So, thank God, I think most of our husbands down here are all married, one wife only. You see, the trouble is when you have two women or three women, the pleasure is more than you can control. You see my point? Yeah. There are things you can control, and there are things which you can't control when you have many of them. So when you talk about pleasure, it is both physical and both unmeasurable. Yeah, you will lose your control, and you can lose your control over the number of people. And Ecclesiastes chapter 2, here is where the challenge is. Okay, I want to come to. Hold on. Yeah, correct. Okay. Let me just read some words here, but I did not put it up because I don't have the time to put it up. Okay. The preacher now details his quest to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. In this section, the preacher names 3 vanities he has uncovered. Oddly, though, the first of this is the pursuit of wisdom itself. He writes that in such wisdom, there is much vexation. Why? The preacher realizes that to understand life truly is to understand in greater measure its tragedies and pain. Because he is wise, he knows that what is crooked cannot be made straight. In his search for understanding, he had indulged the whatever pleasures he wanted. He sought money, he sought sex and power and obtained more of each of these than anyone else. Yet he considered all he possessed and accomplished. He felt total emptiness. So there are things in your life that you thought that by the numerical increase equals to feeling, numerically multiplied or otherwise. So this is really a vexation that he was talking earlier on. It's a meaningless thing. It is a foolish thing. Okay, so likewise, in our first understanding is wisdom, pleasure, and labor. These are three areas that do not go in equal growth, in equal numbers. They actually varies in your whole life and experience. Yeah. Good. You go back to these slides that I have. You can. Yes. Okay. Go down. Next slide. Next slide. Yes. Okay. Good. Okay. Go up a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Up a little bit. Okay. You will notice that week 3, right? Wisdom, pleasure, and labor. Yeah. God give to a man that is good in his sight. Wisdom, knowledge, and joy. Okay, next slide. Can you all read this? Very, very thin, right? Yeah. Okay, let's read together. Ready, go. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their wisdom. Yeah. Yes. Yes. No, 4 and have no one to help them up. Also, it was right. You can keep warm, but love can one keep warm alone. Though we may be overpowered, we can defend ourselves. And so wisdom brings in this fact that you need help. You and I need help. After we understand the difference in our feeling, that it cannot increase equally on numbers, but you need help because it can go out of control. When you have 1 wife, 2 wife, or 3 wife, or 4 wife, you get into trouble, right? It's not just a pleasure, but it's actually a responsibility. It's actually the accomplishment of life. Yes, and if you fall, it will be a very bad fall. All right. So therefore, we need to notice that in our gathering, there is a need of us to help each other. So 2 and 3 is actually a very important number. If we can cooperate, we can see each other eye to eye and to help each other. Wow, fantastic. Okay, good. You go back to just now the slides on reading again. Okay, you go back to there and you can now go down to, yes, very good. Okay, we are now on 6, 7. We go down some more. Now we go to chapter 2, all the way down. verse 2. No, okay, now we go to chapter 3. Yeah, we did it. Okay, good, stop. Okay, there is a time for everything. A season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain. A time to search, and a time to give up. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to mend. Okay, very good. Here gave us a very detailed and frank understanding of our life and time. Time makes a very time make us different from animals in a sense that there is a time for everything under the sun. When things are done not timely, then we will make a loss. We will be in a situation that is very difficult to survive. All right? Okay, let's talk about this. Come, everyone involved. What are the happiest time and what is the saddest time of your life? What is your happiest time and what is your saddest time? What is the time that you can do the most work in your day?
My happy time is happiest got food on my table when I was
Interesting, right?
every month. Happiest time is when I can have a bowl of rice on the table. When I was young, with a bowl of rice, wow, that's the happiest thing. When we were poor, yeah.
I think I got a lot happy time, but I mean, I cannot say who is happy, but maybe my marriage is the happiest time.
Everybody say something. Happy time.
What is the happiest time and what is the happiest thing that you do in time? This is very important. Yeah, you can understand and you can nail on it.
When I got my license.
My happiest time.
What is the happiest time?
Yeah, at that time when I get to know her, then later we get married. So on that day, I think I'm very happy. So my saddest time is when my elder brother passed away with an accident. So that is my saddest, I would say, in my life, because I lost my brother.
You got quite a big family, right? How many?
We have 9 people, brother and sister.
Lost one, only one.
Well, lost only one. So, but at the time it's a tragic, and then the accident was so bad that after the accident, I think I lost my weight 15 kilo. At that time, I was only 19. Every day I still eat, but we lost because I think was so sad in my heart. Because actually at that time is my brother, he met an accident and then he was run over by a lorry. So all her bone, everything was, the head, the skull was broken, and then the brain was spitting over on the road. So I and my cousin brother, we go and pick up piece by piece. So that it's so a bad experience.
Wow. And from the way I hear from you, right, does your life affected even today? Are you scared of getting? Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Will you be affected by the loss and the situation today?
I would say no.
No lah, good.
The incident teach me life is short, like anything can happen. So you have to trust somebody to protect you and to make you safe every day.
Yes.
Every year.
Very good. Thank you so much. Yeah. So here in this consideration, in this particular chapter, knowing all these things that happen, it becomes an important lesson. Not only do you want to know what happened, the feel of it, but also to know that certain things you will not allow it to happen to the whole of your life. And it will not affect you. And it's very important. So that you can make use of what has happened and to treasure those things in good memory. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I will say that the time that most happy to me is
Yes.
when God answer my prayer.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
So like many things, in life, I wasn't grow up in the good memory. But
Yes.
yes, every time is God answer my prayer. So that is the most happy for me. But
Okay.
when is the most sad time for me is
Yes.
when I feel lonely. Especially, I was thinking that every time I go everywhere, loved by somebody, loved by everybody. But when come to the time that I meet the real struggle,
Right.
I realized that actually they are not my friend. So especially last year, 2023,
Yes.
that the year that I come to RBC, that is the most hurt and hard for me in life that I never meet, because I thought that I've been loved by so many. But
Yes.
when in the lost time, I realized I don't have friend, even one.
Oh,
And that time I was thinking of my parents. And on every time May or June, when people celebrate in church, Father's Day or Mother's Day, actually this year I was crying behind, nobody noticed. Because everybody say happy birthday to your mom, or happy Mother's Day or happy Father's Day to your parent. They all children, sister, go and hug. I sit behind alone and nobody come, and I have nobody to go to because nobody noticed.
Are
but
your
I
parents
alone.
alive right now?
They are alive, but they far away.
But they are
So,
far away.
like,
Okay.
that time I feel lonely and
Yes.
most sad.
Okay.
But after that I realized why every time God is with me, but when the time
Yes.
people are celebrating with
Yes,
family,
yes.
friend, I got no one.
Yes. You understand?
That is.
Now you have Carlos. Lai.
My happiest time is when after I left school, a couple of years later, because in the old days I started my first job with a salary of $90 a month.
Ah, okay.
Working working 6 days a week, you know, Saturday you work until 6 p.m., that kind of thing. So I got no time to go for my night class. Subsequently, I dropped my A-level Lambaga night class. But anyway, God is good because through the labor exchange, in the old days, we go through the labor exchange, you know,
Yes.
at Havelock. And I applied and they asked me to go for interview. So I ended up working in an insurance company.
Yes.
And my pay shot up to $160. Wow, I was so joyful because you're talking about another 70-80% more.
Yeah.
And of course, cost of living is cheap like at that time. So subsequently, I'm able to help to support my family a little bit, you know, whereby in the old days, you give the full package salary to your mom. And you draw $1.50, $2 a day for your bus fare, everything.
Yeah,
You know, that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. And when you get the first bonus, wow, you're so joyful, you know.
Yeah.
First thing I bought is a rice cooker. Thank God for it. Those were the old days. And subsequently, through the years, I've been doing quite okay, able to support family. And the saddest time of my life was when I lost my father when I was at the age of 14.
Oh, my.
He was a hawker, and he worked very hard, 364 days a year. Only Chinese New Year, he take a day break. Because he was an orphan also, brought up by step-parents. And he died of hemorrhage suddenly, 3 days in hospital. Nobody believed him.
Wow.
And that was the saddest time for all of us because we have a big family.
Yeah.
And besides my 8 children, old days they have big group, you know, but they still grow up well, let's put it that way, unlike present days. And the thing is that my mom worked very hard. My mom worked extremely hard after my dad passed because you're talking about feeding 8 people plus a pair of in-law, grandpa and grandmom. And my grandpa was a drinker. And those are old days. I mean, you talk the saddest time of my life.
Sure.
Was sometimes we got thrown out of the house. You know, that kind of thing. When the old man get drunk, he just doesn't know what he was doing, you know. He go berserk like that. So, but he was my parents have been, my mom and dad has been very, very faithful, loyal to the step parents.
Yes.
But anyway, when our dad passed away, we went through a very difficult time. And that was the saddest part of my life.
Yes.
But with the blessings of God, our family got on quite well.
Yeah.
My mom worked very hard, brought us up, and we as children managed to repay my mom. And my mom subscribed at the age of 92, when my father died at the age of 49. You see the gap? So it's a blessing from God that we come up today as quite a close family, closely-knit family.
Wow, that's
so that
good.
is my happiest and the saddest part of my life.
Wow.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful things. Yes.
For me,
Yeah.
uh,
The happiest day of
my
your life.
happiest time. So my life is quite sort of no high and low. Basically, no, I mean quite good sailing. So I don't have that experiences.
Okay.
My parents are quite okay, providing us. So if you ask me what is my happiest time, I think my happiest times is I touched by the Lord.
Yeah.
So
okay.
something that I shared before, but no one understands. But it was after 15 years of praying, I really don't read any other books, but only read Bibles and waiting for God to answer questions.
Sure.
I think I'm a thinker. So a thinker normally have a lot of questions. Be it relevant or not relevant, is always thinking about some question. Seeing something, I tend to ask questions. So a lot of questions I cannot answer, so I turn to God. So for the first 15 years, when I turn to God, there's no answer at all. So finally, one day, there's a vision that Christ come to touch my heart, and then I have a very happy time during that day.
Okay.
And it was very joyful. No one understand, but it doesn't matter, but I understand. So that was my happiest time. Because after that touching, is open up to the understanding of the Bible, and most important thing is the understanding of God.
Good.
So His plan, His purpose, and how He say through the Bible, and the Bible become true to me. So you ask me my saddest times, not in the past, but in the present, I think we are falling into ignorance. It's the saddest, not that we are faulted in one way or another, not we wanted to choose that way, but it is a kind of ignorance. Because we ignorance about how God deal with us. And we always think that we are right. And that is something is very dangerous. So that is nothing wrong with thinking that we are right, okay? I mean, the circumstances, the situation is nothing wrong with that. But the fact that we are in the wrong without knowing is the saddest. So you always remind me of Jesus says on the cross, Father, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. This is a kind of situations that the people thinking that they are doing right? For God's sake, they are doing God right, but by crucifying Jesus. So, but in the way that Jesus said that words, it spell out that we are very ignorant. So I think this is the sad thing, but I don't know how to solve it. But it's not my issue to solve it. So it's God ways, not my way. That's something I can ease with Him. It's not me. It's Him. He will do the greater thing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. We want to now look at Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Now you roll up to chapter 8. Chapter 8, verse 1. 9, 12. Now this is another passage or thoughts that we... Chapter 9, verse 1. Chapter 9, chapter 9. Yeah, okay, good. So I reflected on this and concluded that the righteous and the wise and what they are in God's hand. But no man knows whether love or hate awaits him. Verse 2. All share a common destiny. The righteous and the wicked, the good and the bad, the clean and the unclean, those who offer sacrifices and those who do not. As it is with the good man, so with the sinner. So it is with those who take oath, so with those who are afraid to take them. Verse 3, right? This is the evil in everything that happens under the sun. The same destiny overtakes all. The hearts of men, moreover, are full of evil, and there is madness in their hearts while they live. And afterwards, they join the dead. Anyone who is among the living has hope. Even a live dog is better than a dead lion. So you are the same, It's the same. If you are alive, you are better, you are more worth than you are dead. Okay? For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. They have no further reward, and even the memory of them is forgotten. Their love, their hate, and their jealousy have long since vanished. Okay, just stop here for a while. The preacher returns to the concept of those who fear God. And he has already pointed out that the people do not always get what they deserve in this life. The preacher's solution to the reality that sometimes evil seems to prevail and bad things happen to the righteous. How does he arrive at this solution? What should our response be to these things? Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 14 to 15. The preacher says it is vanity that the wicked appear to escape judgment and instead receive blessings, and that there is no satisfying explanation for why the righteous receive the treatment due to the wicked. Since this mystery cannot be completely solved, one should not become so obsessed with attempting to unravel it that one neglects to enjoy God's gifts. Should not become so obsessed with attempting to enjoy God's gift. Good. We learn from this chapter or this section a very bold understanding that the contrast of having God and His wisdom put us in the right place. Because our life changes and fluctuates at different times and also at different rare responses. So the people around him, and that is all of us, can get so puzzled, so lost, and we cannot move. So it is very important for us to treasure the good times and to save ourselves from being overcome by the bad times. There is wisdom in this. All right? So this is very important. Good. The hand of God. Yeah, very important. We go down now to the verses. Let's go down to next chapter. Okay. Okay, chapter 10, Ken. Verse 1. As dead flies give perfume a bad smell, so a little folly, foolishness, outweighs wisdom and honor. The heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of the fool to the left. Okay, there's this picture that I put out, is it? Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Even as he walks along the road, the fool lacks sense and shows everyone how stupid he is. If a ruler's anger rises against you, do not leave your post. Calmness can lay great errors to rest. Verse 5. There is an evil I have seen under the sun, the sort of error that arises from a ruler. Fools are put in many high positions, while the rich occupy the low ones. Verse 7. I have seen slaves on horseback, while princes go on foot like slaves. Whoever digs a pit may fall into it, and whoever breaks through a wall may be bitten by a snake. Whoever quarries stones may be injured by them. Whoever splits lock may be endangered by them. If the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. If a snake bites before it is being charmed, there is no profit for the charmer. So here it talks about the skills that each person can achieve and must maintain. These skills of whether charmer that was being mentioned now here, and so the skills of building a building and the bricks and the locks that you use plays a lot in your life. If you do not know how to sharpen an axe, then all your effort can be lost. All your effort is going to go to waste and double, all right? So you need to sharpen your axe, and your strength will not be lost. Very good. Continue. A fool's work wearies him. He does not know the way to town. Woe to you, O land, whose king was a servant and whose princes feast in the morning. Blessed are you, O land, whose king is of noble birth and whose princes eat at the proper time for strength and not for drunkenness. Again, a very clear warning. The moment you do not use your feeling and your time wisely, you become a fool. All right? Very good. Thank you. Verse 16. I know. Down to 18. 18. Yeah, good. If a man is lazy, the rafters snag. If his hands are idle, the house leaks. A feast is made for laughter, and wine makes life merry. But money is the answer for everything. Wow, this one are very important. Today, everybody realize and people notice. Now, it is also very interesting for us to understand money, that it is a means of measuring. It's a measurement for your effort and things. Do not revel the king even in your thoughts, or curse the rich in your bedrooms, because a bird of the air may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may report what you say. So here tells us about human beings, that talks, we all talk, we make a lot of noise, we give a lot of comment, we express a lot of happiness and sadness, but all this information can be misreported and it can cause you danger. So we have to be very careful with our mouth in telling how we feel, in sharing how we feel. Okay, so this is a very important aspect in the book of Ecclesiastes, that everyone can share info, but yet the info can do you harm. Because he keep on saying very repeatedly that it carries to people's ears what you feel and what you say. Okay? So be very clever, be very watchful with what you say and what you let the walls that has got ears, and it will affect you. And this is the wisdom of Ecclesiastes, and tells us loudly. Good. Next one. The comments that I'm learning and I'm using from this particular book, he says that wisdom can achieve greatness and surpasses many priceless gifts, but just a little folly overwhelms everything. All right. The preacher reminds us that the folly is not always intentional. It is often the result of carelessness. So we must take time at every moment of our life to evaluate what has passed. What we have spoken actually can be heard, can be taken, and can be misused and misrepresented, and so on and so forth. And then it ends up in big loss. Okay, very important. The preacher says that it is good to enjoy one's youth. Indeed, he declares youth as the best time to remember God. When people are strong and fit, rather than old, bent, and miserable. Okay, so you and I must prevent these three things from our life. We have to be very, very careful that we do not become old, bent, okay? So always keep fit. Very important. And full of joy and not miserable. You know, he's trying to tell us again and again that miserable is brought upon yourself, ourselves. We tend to think and be sad over what we do not have. And then we make ourselves very miserable and over life. So every moment of our life, we begin to think of unhappiness by saying, why can't I have this money? Why can't I have this house? Why can't I have this pleasure? Then we make ourselves miserable. This is really the reality of life. And here is where the Ecclesiastes, the preacher, who is Solomon, tells. In actual fact, Solomon could have also come to a period of his life. He really have no more joy in all that he has. He got so many wives, he got so much money, so much gold, but he is just sitting there feeling miserable and not enjoying the things that he has. All right, very good. Praise the Lord. Okay, now we go to chapter 12, coming to the end. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Okay, let us read verse 1 and 2. Ready, go. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble comes, and the years approach you, when you say, I find no pleasure in them, before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark, and the clouds return after the rain. When the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men stoop, when the grinders ease, because they are few. When the grinders ease, because they are few, and those looking through the windows grow dim. When the doors to the street are closed, and the sound of grinding fades. When men rise up at the sound of birds, and all their songs grow faint. When men are afraid of heights. Yeah, right? When the blossoms and the grasshopper drags itself along, the desire no longer is stirred, then man goes to his eternal home, and mourners go about the streets. Full stop, just stop. And so here is a very clear description that you one day will become so old. Every part of your eyes, your strength, all become dim. Your eyes cannot even always very dim and very dark. You lost your sight. You begin to lose what you can see and what you can enjoy. You begin to lose your way. Very, very serious. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so we come to verse 8. Just go up to verse 8. Yes. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless. You begin to realize that what is good, you cannot enjoy. What is bad and dark is meaningless. You wanted to correct, you also cannot. Okay? So verse 9, very important. Up a little bit, all of us can see. Okay, let us read together. Ready? Read. Not only was the teacher wise, but also the imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs. Verse 10. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true. Verse 11. The words of the wise are like goods, their collected sayings like firmly embedded nails given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition to them. Of making many books, there is no end. Much study wearies the sun. Well, this one, all the students kept say yes, and they quickly mention it to all the teachers. Yeah. Verse 13. Now all had been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. So it is God who will bring into judgment, into his understanding and his weighing of your life and my life, of what you did and what I did. And what I did not do, I forget about it. I forget to do something about it. God will bring it to remembrance by himself. God himself will judge and weigh the value of everything that we do and everything that we forget to do. This is the preacher. This is Ecclesiastes. so important for us as we come to the end of Ecclesiastes to realize that all things are meaningless if they are apart from God's weightage, from God's understanding. So let us take note of this. Good. Praise God. Yeah. 可以慢慢来，不用紧。All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, good. Okay, is there any questions that you want to just mention? Yes. Lai.
I've read the Ecclesiastes and I found a lot of points where could be up for misinterpretation
Okay, good.
by an unbeliever.
Yes.
So just some of the things that I want to ask.
Yes.
There, in chapter 7, the last few verses,
Okay.
the Bible actually says that the teacher say you only find one upright man among 1,000, and he find no upright woman among. So this is something that I don't know whether is that the meaning, but I'm reading it as it is from NIV, chapter 28.
Chapter 7.
Verse 27, 28, 29. Maybe let's look at it. Chapter 7. Yeah.
27.
So when I was reading through this Ecclesiastes, I'm just thinking about what non-Christians may
Think
read
about
of it, and then they will challenge, hey, why y'all Christians say this kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then
So unfair.
yeah, they'll say, is it that women are not upright? Why I'm referring to this is because
Yes.
I read some things that are saying that the Bible was curated in a way that in the society before it cited men more than women, and of men's influence over the books in the Bible. And so this portion here again talk about only men upright and women not upright. And the question is why lah? Why is it left there? So I was trying to think about it, like does it refer to something else? Because it refers to the earlier part of a woman who can trap, a bitter woman. The earlier verses, this woman who's a snare. I think don't know whether it refers to that of a woman whose heart is not in the right place, and then So, and I realized that in the different versions, it comes out differently also. Interesting. Yeah, and like I read in NKJV, right? Okay. It doesn't talk about it.
Okay.
In NKJV, it doesn't talk about wise men are up. NIV say upright, right? But in New King James, it only say this. It says adding one thing. Okay, let's see. Here's what I found. This 37 says the preacher, adding one thing to the other to find out the reason which my soul still seeks, but I cannot find. One man among 1,000 I have found, but a woman among these I have not found. So this part, this doesn't really talk about whether it's upright, reference to uprightness or what. So that's why I'm just thinking in the different versions. I do not know. I didn't know in the. I mean, I have not went to study the actual text. Hebrew text.
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't gone and read that. I thought this is something that I found. I don't know why it's there.
Okay.
But if there must be a reason to it.
Yes.
And then another question that I want to ask also on chapter 7.
Yes.
So in the verse 16 and 17, they say, do not be overly righteous, nor be overly wise. Why should you destroy yourself? So I was thinking, what's overly righteous and what's overly wise? And why will you destroy me?
Yes.
Is it because you start to become judgmental?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
when you judge people, you judge yourself and you destroy yourself.
Yeah.
This is something. So but verse 17 is very clear. So
Yeah.
overly wicked or foolish, right? It will cause you to do things that you will. He said, that why should you die before your time? I would suggest, I would think maybe you break the law, and then after that, because you break the law, maybe punishment results in your death. So I mean, this one is, but I'm just thinking what is righteous and what's overly
What is overly righteous, by the way?
overly wise. Something to, for me is, I don't know what's the real meat. For me, I think it's you start to judge. I think and so judging people, put yourself, you judge everything.
Yeah.
And then you put yourself in a way where, and then you get, obviously when you are a judgmental person, you start to be, how do you say, people will remove you. Remove you.
Sabo you.
Not sabo. Sabo is one, but basically you are cut off from the society because nobody likes to hang around around a judgmental person. So end up you live in loneliness or that kind. So you will destroy yourself. Maybe that's why. So I do not know whether, as in my understanding.
Very
And
good.
then,
Thank you.
yeah. So also in verse 3. So in verse 3 of the same chapter also, they say, I mean, it comes off from talking about dying is better than living. The day of death is actually better than the day of birth. This part I understand because we come into this world is a world of suffering. It's a world of sin, that you're born into sin, and then in death are you truly free. So maybe then because you go into heaven, you go in, and then wait for God.
Yes.
So maybe that along that line, and then so when it comes to verse 3, right, it say, you say that crying or sorrow is actually better than laughter.
Frustration is better than laughter.
Because sad
face.
a sad countenance, the heart. But okay, in New King James Version it says, for sorrow is better than laughter, for by a sad countenance the heart is made better. So over here it says a sad face is good for the heart. So,
Yes.
so these are some of the verses that I read and I say,
Yes.
sadness good, man.
Yeah, lah.
Why is it good for my heart? Is it because by crying you relieve stress? I don't know. Or you relieve the pressures that you feel like maybe it's saying that if you don't cry during mourning, you keep all the pain inside you, and then you will actually build up negative emotions, and then the body sometimes react to your emotions.
Sure.
So when you feel happy, your body actually releases endorphins and all that and help you to your body to be better. But when you are constantly in a negative state of depression,
Yes.
your negative thinking causes your body to be negative, and then you actually fall sick and you actually get diseases just because you are sick, you are sad.
You're sad.
Maybe over here is saying that I think it's about releasing your emotions. I don't know. So there's quite a bit of areas that I find that is, I do not know whether I understand or interpret.
Okay, there are also many parts of the Ecclesiastes that tells us a lot about the laughter. You can keep on laughing all the while, and you think that is something which is beneficial to you. But many times it actually throw in and comes in with these verses here and there that you need to be sorrowful. Because when your life is always laugh, and you cannot laugh, it's like something is wrong with you. You cannot laugh. So the understanding is one of seriousness. That you need moments of seeing that life is so serious, it will be weighed by God, and the result of you living your life will be affected. If you make laughter as a main thing of life, actually, you are a fool, right? So the point of Ecclesiastes, when it comes to this laughing part and also the non-laughing part, the point is seriousness. And the person who weighs these, all these moments of life is God. The word of weighing all these moments of life is God, and that is the most important, and that is the most weightage of life. Very good. Yeah.
So
yeah. Mm.
But when you read Ecclesiastes,
Mm.
chapter 2, chapter 3, they are comparison of everything.
Mm.
They also in the chapter 2 or chapter 3 will still talk about wisdom,
Mm.
food. So it's still very early kind of wisdom.
yeah.
So you read, as you read along, you have to differentiate the wisdom is referring to earthly wisdom or referring to God's wisdom.
Mm. Mm.
So at the end of the chapter,
Yes.
chapter 12, the son you read, he's talking about the godly wisdom.
Mm.
So you have a godly wisdom.
Mm.
But if you read at the early wisdom,
Mm.
now chapter 7, a lot of things will fall into the picture.
Mm.
Because if you are too righteous and you are too judgmental, it's no good for you.
Yeah.
Olden days, especially in the olden days. Now you have to look back into the background.
Mm.
Still, the background is very important. You have to understand
Mm.
the historical background of
Correct.
the age. So, like Chinese, a lot of people, wise men die first.
Since
Against the king. They will stand up against the king because of what he thinks is right. So, but that time, you stand up against the king, nothing good for you.
Yeah. I agree.
你一定死的。
So no, I understand. So which is why I raised this question is because
Yes.
I'm sure when I'm just thinking in terms of when you speak to any outside people, right? People who actually read, non-Christian who actually take your Bible and read, then they might say, hey, why your Bible say like that?
Yeah.
So we want to have the right answers to, or at least understand how to reply to them
Yes.
if things get taken out of context.
Yes.
So I think Uncle Pan put it correctly. He say that this is not God wisdom. This is, but they will challenge. I think if earthly then why put inside the Bible? You say everything your Bible is God breathed, right?
Very good that the Bible mentioned this exactly. Both aspects. Yeah.
I think something that's definitely worth pointing out as
Yes.
well is that for somebody who comes towards like the Christian text
Yes.
from the point of view of an outsider, or from the point of view of somebody who is simply looking at text in the Bible with a critical eye, to be honest, Ecclesiastes doesn't necessarily make a very clean distinction between
Yes.
what is wisdom of men and wisdom of God. If anything, Ecclesiastes often suggests that God's mind is something that is not necessarily understood. Ecclesiastes says this quite a lot, but it is not. As in, what I'm saying is that, yeah, and I would say that actually, from the point of view of somebody, from the point of view of an outsider, in truth, like the line between these two things
Yes.
is actually not particularly clear in Ecclesiastes, and I don't think, I think that is more or less true. I don't think Ecclesiastes makes I don't think the worldview
Yes.
of whoever wrote Ecclesiastes
Yes.
makes a very clean break between these two things. Because, I mean, the general worldview of Jewish writing is that all wisdom comes from God.
Yep.
So, in many ways, man's wisdom is really a subset of divine wisdom. So
Yep.
you have to understand that that's kind of the point of view they are coming from. So actually,
Right.
works like Ecclesiastes will simply not make a clean distinction between the two
Correct.
things.
Yes.
For them, there was, it's definitely worth understanding that for them, there was no such distinction. And
The reason for saying maybe not is to look at the Ecclesiastes, the content of chapter. You have to build up.
I don't think you can actually divide, okay.
Let me finish. Hold on until you finish. That is the way of discussion. So the chapter building up, when you read Ecclesiastes,
Yes.
you build up chapter by chapter to see how Solomon built up the story.
Yep.
He building up the story by telling men he like pleasure, chapter 2.
Yes.
He's seeking a lot of things.
Mm.
But in chapter 2, he started to talk about the foolish and wise.
Yes.
So he's still talking about, he's still building up his storyline. So as he go on, he continued to look into a different kind of matters, different ways of life. Then he find that it's all vanity.
Yeah.
So the reason is that, vanity is that even I build up my empire, I give it to somebody who never live up. So he's still building up the storyline. So at the end, then he talk about, towards the chapter 11, chapter 12, he's starting to talk about the wisdom,
Yeah.
God in control, God judgment.
Yes.
So you have to separate that kind of thought. You cannot lump them up together. If you lump them together, you will do a lot of confusion. Because the author itself is a king. He say that I'm a teacher. He didn't say that I'm a king to give you instruction, no, to degree. But he said I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
But I'm the son of David. But I am a king. So he's only the qualified is Solomon. No doubt is Solomon. Cannot be
Yes.
anybody else.
Yes.
He say that he's a teacher, but he's not qualified to
Yes.
be the son of David, neither is qualified to be the king. So the king, Solomon is for sure in this order is Solomon.
Yes.
No doubt. Because he's qualified himself in that statement. So he say that, but as a king, he didn't use the degree, didn't tell you you should do, but it's a kind of reflection that he had. So I tell you as a teacher. So I see this. So you're building up the chapter. You have to understand this every chapter from chapter that how he build up the storyline. Then finally he say in the chapter 12 is the answer.
Yeah.
So
It's a conclusion.
I think what I want to say is, I know what you're trying to say is build up, but Ian is trying to point out that even though we say that this is Solomon's writing, but now it's in the Bible, because we say that whatever is in the Bible is God breathed, right? So you cannot. So people will argue and say that, okay, are you saying that this chapter 7, because it's Solomon's wisdom, is not from God, I can disregard?
No, you see.
So that's the thing that people will. So the key thing is, I think now is.
Now, okay, I understand what you.
So now because now you're saying.
Let me answer. When you read the Bible, 64 chapters, the books, 64,
Okay.
66 books, right?
Depending on your
You have to understand that there are few books that written by the author himself. Solomon wrote
Okay.
In fact, Martin Luther even wanted to reject Revelation and James. If you look at the history of Martin Luther, so they have gone through a period of selections.
Yes.
That means which book they come in, which one they come. So when you say of a Solomon books have 3 books: Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs. So in fact, he has a wise man. He written a lot of wise things, but a lot of them are quite secular, quite appropriate for life. But not necessarily that is God's wisdom. It's quite different. It's quite different from God's wisdom. So if you say that these books, these words, the Ecclesiastes, is because of God's words, now you have to be careful, because you have to understand of the selection of the Bible, the meaning of it, and why. Now he wrote it. You see, it's very clear that he looked for pleasure. Is it from God? I ask you a question. Chapter 2. You read the whole chapter. Is it from God? No, he tell you that I'm a teacher. I'm telling you I'm a teacher. I'm writing about as a teacher. Isn't it true? So that's why he put it very clearly in front, up front. I'm a teacher. I tell you I'm a teacher. Only I am a son of David. I am a king of Israel.